So, hello everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of the People, Passion, and Purpose podcast. And this time, the podcast goes international. So, we have a very interesting and a special guest with me. So, she's somebody who I'm officially meeting for the first time here. But then we met in terms of our ideologies, in terms of our ideas, in terms of our thought processes. A little earlier on LinkedIn, as well as we have the same predecessor of a company. So we both worked at Bosch. We both worked in terms of women empowerment. And yeah, prior to that, she knew me by reputation, and now we are officially meeting for the first time. So welcome, Laura, from you know from the early morning in Romania on Easter Monday. So thank you for gracing this podcast.
Hello, Sunil. So thank you very much for the invitation. I was so grateful when I saw your message because, as you said, we didn't meet each other so far. But it's great to see you and also hear you. And as you said, your reputation is still having some echoes outside of Bosch, but inside of Bosch as well. So I'm really happy that we can talk. We can also share some experiences and ideas for the listeners. And as you said, Easter Monday is the best morning to start and to share something. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. So it's also a joy to meet you and share thoughts and find some of the similarities between what happens in India, also what also happens in Romania. So a few things off the record that I also gotten to hear from you. So it's nice to have you here, and it's yeah. Let's jump on board and ask you interesting questions.
Thank you. I think that's a good approach to have because then at some point I will also have reflection on my own while talking. So
Absolutely. So yeah, I think we had a common connection in terms of Padmini, Joe, Bosch, Women at Bosch, Working Out Loud. So you were part of the global leadership or membership with regards to the Women at Bosch community and all the women empowerment initiatives. So I just want to just put the thought process or the spotlight back on it. So how was your experience getting into such an initiative, and what was the things that you did there?
So for me was it all started actually when I moved to Cluj. I lived in Timișoara, in another city 350 kilometers away. And when I applied to Bosch, actually I didn't think that they will just ask me to move out in Cluj. When I moved, I didn't have any friends, any relatives, so I didn't know anybody in this new city. And when I was at work, I had Hane Rabe. She was a part of the global board as well at some point in Women at Bosch, and she was my boss in quality department. And I asked her, okay, how should I meet new people in Cluj? Because of course I can meet some colleagues, but that's not the same because you want to interact, you want to have some network and also to expand my list of friends, let's say. And she invited me on one of the administrative calls that they had at that point in 2017. And I was impressed somehow that I met a group of women who are not envy, who are just trying to to help each other. And I was like, okay, that's new for me. In general, in my experiences, whenever I had some female bosses and so on, they were not so nice at some point. And I said, okay, this is different. So I started to go to their meetings, and because I have the background in psychology, and I was also inclined somehow to be based on helping others, I said maybe I can also contribute. So the first time I organized a self-confidence workshop for the women in the plant.
Mhm.
And I think I had the impact on that on the International Women's Day. And I continued to go to the meetings and to be more and more involved. So I started to organize projects in Romania. And at some point we had the coordination voting, and they voted me to be the local here coordinator for women at Bosch. and how I end up in the global board, because that was a big step, because I was the first Romanian lady actually in this big global board, management board. For 25 years, they were not having any, let's say, women from India or from Romania or from other countries, only from Germany, as I know. So I applied. I sent out my CV and I said, hey, I am a local coordinator here in Romania, and I want to have impact on a global overview. And I was accepted. So it was more, oh my God, now I can go in a diversity topic much more, because I was working in quality, in consultancy. So I was not even in HR at that point. And it was a great opportunity to be along with colleagues from other countries as well in the same team.
Hmm. So you said, you got into this and you found out that women are helping each other. So women supporting women, men also supporting women in this particular cause. So, what's been your experience with such initiatives? You said you also had a confidence building workshop. So, what drives you to get into all of this?
I think it's the, I mean, I will always work with people. That's my, no matter what I will do, I will always work with people for people. And for me was just an opportunity how to really go further and to have impact. And whenever I saw that in general women are, in some of the countries and also in Romania, we have a lot of problems from the let's say equity, and also going
Mhm.
to the leadership position. And for me was like, why all the things are happening, and I wanted to find some answers. And I did receive some answers, but I saw, okay, what I'm going to do with those answers. I need really to have projects or to contribute to the, for example, mentoring project that the woman at Bosch is doing. So as you said, male colleagues who are already leaders helping female colleagues to mentor and also to offer them support, to give them wings to have the leadership roles. So this was the motivation actually, because I saw that I can have impact, and there are already people with the same mindset, with the same values as I'm having.
So yeah, that community feeling is a thrill altogether.
Yes, I was not used actually to be. I'm more like an introvert and more like having my own activities and my own ideas. But sometimes when you find a good community and people with the same, as I said, mindset, it was nice for me to feel accepted and also to feel like I'm important and I can contribute to that.
Mm. And that feeling of being accepted and important, and I am also adding something to this as a whole equation. It's a different feeling altogether. So I've been personally involved in some of those activities where I felt involved and I was able to give, maybe just pay it forward to somebody else that they also see this, and it's a beautiful feeling. I can completely understand how you felt, how you continue to feel with that topic. So another interesting point, maybe we go to the beginning. So you said you were in
Mhm.
T and then you went into HR. You also have qualifications with regard to psychology. So how did that happen?
So I graduated high school in teaching. So I had the certificate to be a teacher in kindergarten, and I said, okay, if I can work with small people, at some point I will work with adults. So this was
Mm.
the biggest test for me, like teaching others and making the small kids to listen to you. If I can do that, for me in my mindset was like I will speak in front of anybody after that. So
Uh,
it it started with teaching, and then I said, how can I help? Actually, it was the question that I always had in mind, and I said maybe through psychology. And I was always happy to help by talking, because we do not have all the solutions, and we are not experts in other people's life. And I was applying for psychology university. I graduated, and then I said I need to go further with something more specialized. So then I made psychotherapy, systemic psychotherapy, and it was in parallel with my master's degree. It was almost 6 years of studying, self discovery groups, supervisions, and so on. So it was a long road. But my dream was to work with families and couples. So I said, one day I will have my couch, like famous Freud was having, and I will talk with people, and I will help them to discover and to solve the problems. But in Romania, it's not so easy. I mean, the first fear was like how I'm going to support myself, how many clients do I need, how I'm going to tax the people. So it should be like a company, it should be like a small individual economic way of organizing myself. So I was not so confident in that, and all the paperwork was really complicated. And I said, you know what, I have the skills, so wherever I'm going to work, I will still help people. And because I made a master degree in human resources management, I said, let's try to apply in corporations. They have a lot of work, they have a lot of open positions, so let's try in that. And I first started in Continental Automotive in Timișoara. But at that point, they didn't have any open position for human resources, so I ended up in quality. And as I really like to say, that lady, the HR lady, I think she was selling me the job so good, like, oh, you will be such a fit in quality department. And I was hired in process audits, so quality process audit. And to be honest, I needed to go at home and to Google it, what is an audit, because I never heard that word. So yeah, I ended up in that only because I applied, and I said, okay, what is going to happen? And I had the idea that if I don't like it, then I will just resign it. That's it. I mean, I didn't have anything to lose. But on the other side, I like it. So actually, it was a good fit for me to work in quality department because I had some strong ideas about we need to do things in a quality way, so not to waste time. Actually, I really enjoy to discover what is automotive. For me, it was like only cars in my mind, but it was a lot of technical background in that. And all my skills from psychology was really coming in handy when talking with the engineers. They were not so communicative, I would say. So I really used the skills in coping with a new job in a new industry.
When you said engineers are not communicative, I was laughing for that.
Yeah, it was true. In the beginning, it was like only technical and only numbers and only KPIs. And I was like, oh my God, what I'm doing here. But it was quite okay.
But somehow I agree with that statement that engineers and communication may not be the easiest of things it to coexist at certain points. So there's a lot of my own experience where I've seen the people side completely get ignored by numbers, by the different
Excel file. Oh my God, I hate Excel. At some point, I was like, oh, I don't like it. Never again.
Excel, PPTs, I've had my share of presentation mishaps, and I I used to get more feedback on my presentation, the way it's get presented than on the data. The data was flawless. Then Sunil, you haven't used this particular font. There are 3 fonts in the PPT. There's a line that is colored here, but this one is differently colored. Uh, but I'm like, the job's important, the work's important.
Yeah. I saw. I was quickly let's say enrolled in the all the corporate language. Like, as you said, if you want to present an idea, just go to make a PowerPoint, a nice PowerPoint with some colorful and interesting options there, or pictures. And then, as you said, it was about delivery. So even if I said, like, I don't know, I want to implement a shitty thing, it was not an important one. But if you did a very good presentation, if you had the skills and convincing the right people, then maybe you get the money, the budget, the resources, and so
Yes,
on. So
yes. And there's a very famous rebellious line, that I always used to use. So in organizations, the presentation is always greater than the product. So whatever product is selling, it may be good. If you have a bad presentation, it doesn't work. If you have really bad product but a really great presentation, for sure it's going to get you budget.
yeah, it's true. Unfortunately, it's true. And I saw that also as a leaders, one of the big skills that it was promoted and also encouraged for the people to develop, it was actually the public speaking, and as you
Mm.
said, presentation skills. And it's important, yes, you need to sell your ideas. If you have a great idea and you don't sell it, then 90% is going to be lost. But on the other side, if it's empty idea and only great delivery or like selling skills, then at some point it's going to break like a bubble. It's not going to last.
Yeah, now that is very true. So this breaking like a bubble happens, but then a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of things have been already spent in basically sustaining that lie, sustaining that bubble. And overall, it's not good for business. It's not good for the community. It's not good for the employees. Um, yeah, there are many such topics like that. I think both of us can agree on that in terms of our own experiences.
Yes.
Mm. I had actually, when you said kindergarten, I had a topic that instantly came to me. So I just want to ask you to sing a Romanian rhyme that you remember.
For the kids.
For the kids, yeah. And then maybe explain it also in English.
Well, actually, for the kindergarten, when I was where I was working, they had a very multicultural kids. So
Mm.
actually, for example, half of the family was Romanian, but then the father or the mother was from Asia or from France. So it was quite multicultural. And they really like to look on the cartoon that was in English. So I
Mm.
also learned together with them some of the English songs. But it was one particular one, and I think in English it's the same. It was with the rain, and it was like, rain, rain, go away, come another day. And it's quite cool, and I think I will sing that to my kids as well.
Yeah, so Rain Rain Go Away is a very famous rhyme here in India as well. So yeah, and a lot of us grew up on cartoons like Tom and Jerry. Like Cartoon Network was very strongly popular. Mickey Mouse, Chip and Dale, a lot of that.
Cartoon Network as well here in Romania.
Yeah.
I grew up with that, and to be honest, I didn't know until now, like at 20 something, I didn't know what they were saying over there. And I was like so surprised. Like, I tried to imitate, but I didn't understand anything. And as you said, whenever Tom and Jerry was at the TV on Cartoon Network, I was like just sitting over there in front of the TV screen and not moving. Like, mom, shh, I'm looking at that. So yeah, I think we were exposed, as you said. This is one common see that you were talking in the beginning. What Romania and India was having in common, it was being exposed so much in this multicultural and English as well.
Mm. Yeah, so
So
yeah, English becomes like a unifying language, also a strong language we can communicate along with our local mother tongues, and very and multicultural. I think is very strongly Indian. So uh, in a lot of places, specifically inside the organization, when we said, oh, cultural diversity, linguistic diversity, ethnic diversity, so we said, yeah, that's bread and butter in our daily activities. I have somebody from a different religion who speaks the same language, has a very similar, built in terms of the complexion, There's the same person with a similar space who is from a different region in India, but then our uh, religious identity is very similar. And then we have neighbors
Hmm.
who talk minimum 2 or 3 languages. We have the same set of festivals that are there, and there are multitude of festivals. I used to always tell my mom that there were so many holidays that it's no use going to school. I can always next holidays.
To be honest, since I yeah started to meet the colleagues from Bosch, especially Padmini and Josna, I was more and more open and curious about India, not only about the cuisine. So I absolutely love the cuisine, and I have a lot of spices that I received, but also I'm using usually at home. One day I will also visit India. I'm 100% sure. But besides that, it was um, interested for me to find out about religion. As you said, I still don't understand a lot from that. It's like, okay, how many gods and how many, as you said, celebrations. And but it was interesting because now in EXL where I'm working, the company actually it was founded by CEO that is from India, and we are receiving emails like now it's Diwali, for example, is a festival,
Mhm.
and they also write down what is that festival for us
Yeah.
because I don't understand, but
Yes,
it's
yes,
yeah.
yes, yeah. It's always fun to learn about the place, the culture, different things, and this is interesting. Grain Rain Goa is interesting. I thought I'll hear something in the local Romanian dialect and say, okay, that will be interesting. But yeah, that.
I will tell you something in Romania at some point, Romanian. But as you said, we are so raised on the idea of yeah interacting with many cultures, many colleagues,
Mm,
many people coming from different. I also had, for example, a kid in the kindergarten in my group. He was Muslim, and he was talking Arabic. At some point, he just automatically talking Arabic with me, and I say, sorry, I don't understand. Can you say it in like English at least, if not in Romanian?
yeah.
But yeah, it was for me also a learning
Mm,
phase, and being exposed to that. So with parents also talking in English, and for example, they in the Easter break they were just flying to Disney, and for me it was like,
mm.
oh, I only seen that in the movie. Like you really good at 3 years old, you're going to Disney. Wow. So yeah.
I've never been to Disneyland, so that's on the to-do list. Hopefully, sometime it will happen. But I've seen that yeah, kids do enjoy going there. Their parents are pretty much, I think, also going back to their childhood when they go to Disneyland and all of that. Um, so when you brought up that topic around diversity in childhood and all of that and
Hmm.
different experience culturally. So how is it from maybe the audience perspective, who mostly Indians? So how is it? Uh, you know, can you give us a view of how is it in Romania, like growing up as a kid?
So for me, one specific memory that I have, and it's with me, as you said, I grew up with Cartoon Network and some of the, yeah, I was exposed to that, and particularly in that Banat area, how we say it in Romania. We had a lot of colleagues, sorry, a lot of people who were from other areas from Romania, and they had a different dialect, so sometimes I was not able to understand what they are talking because it was still Romanian but with different kind of accent, any yeah different kind of words for the same thing. For example, how we are saying to window, they said another word, and it was like, what is that? It's like still Romanian. So even inside of that area, the county, it was different for me because I have seen some differences from how they speak. My grandparents were in some area of the Romania, and the other grandparents from my mom's side, it was in a different area near to Serbia. So whenever I was in the summer vacation, 80% of the people in that village, they talk Serbian.
Mm.
And my neighbors, for example, I remember my house of my grandma, it was like really in the middle of the neighbors, only Serbians. So I grew up eating their specific food dishes, and even I knew how to say hello, or whenever it was Christmas, we were going to sing some holiday songs, and they give us some cakes and so on. So I was exposed, I would say, more to the Balkanic neighbors and dialects. And gradually, when I moved to Timisoara, which was a bigger city, so universities over there and so on, it was more close to Germany, Austria, Germany, and Hungarian people. And I also heard on the street like diverse languages, and also I saw the people were wearing different kind of clothes, like more modern, I would say, so near to the West. And I like it. It was like, oh, a big city, so now more diversity. I also seen them there, they were like talking more modern, like with more confidence. So regardless the language, it was the attitude that it was diverse for me, and I perceive it at
Mm.
that at 19 years old, like, oh my god, so much diversity. And I like it. And as I said, there's a small memory that I have in my city, because it was a small city, and I didn't ever seen an Asian person or like a black person. And I was just riding my bicycle. We were living near to a park, a big park, and near to the hotel. We were always making like a round and coming back to the block, and I saw some people that were talking another language which was similar with Cartoon Network. So I understood somehow that it was English or something like this. And I was just talking with them. And I think I had 10 years old or something like this. And I was with my bicycle, and I tried in Romanian to talk with them, to ask them from where they are coming. And they were just saying, "Oh, we are coming from America, and so on." And I tried somehow to make connection with them, because I see them exotics, like, okay, they are talking different, they're looking different, okay. And I said, and they come back to the hotel. I think there was some like Orthodox or something like this
Mhm.
organization, and they bring us some sweets. And I was so happy, like going back to my mom and say, "Hey, I received this from some foreigners, I don't know." And my mom was like, "Oh my god, you're crazy, like you never accept sweets or cookies for someone who is not speaking the same language like you." But it was so innocent, and I was so curious, like, and they were so friendly, actually, only to just talk with us, like trying to say that we are from America and so on. So it was like 5 minutes discussion, and yeah, only by sign language.
Yes. Yeah, I think as kids, we're naturally curious here. We want to just connect with people, find out our similarities, find out our differences. There's no attachment to those differences, and we don't, segregate, or we don't really say, "Oh, you're not on the same." We don't speak the same language. We just want to, like make friends, get on board. And you had shared in terms of, I think, one of the topics you wanted to share about was with biases, and
Mm,
a perfect segue to ask, um, in terms of what are the biases that you have come across as an individual, or maybe in the workspace specifically,
mm.
maybe even in terms of women empowerment, or speaking on behalf of women, the glass ceiling as such.
It's a sad story that I have, but a true one. I had a colleague in the same group as me, and she got married, I think 2 years ago or something like this. And then she moved out in another group in Bosch, and at some point she wanted to apply to a new job. And she was like recently married, and the group leader from that, it was also a woman. And after the interview, she gave her the feedback, like, it was the statement like this: "I saw your ring on your hand, and I know that you are recently married, if you are moving to our group, it's going to be stressful. It's going to be something, very, very demanding. And if you want to have kids, I don't recommend you to come to our group. And when she was just telling to me, we were going to the canteen, and she told me, okay, I was like, hey, how is it your life? How is it in the new group, and so on? And she said, I want to leave, I want to move, but look how was the feedback that I received. And I was so enraged, like furious, like how a woman can, not even a woman, like anybody in this world, can just have the judgment that if I'm married, if I have the ring on my finger, then the next logical step is going to be that I will have a kid. And if I have a kid or a child, I cannot cope with a stressful group. And I was like telling to her, hey, what was your reaction? I'm just curious. And she said, well, I understand that maybe she was having a good intention, like maybe to protect me and so on. But on the other side, I felt disappointed, like, okay, what if I'm married? What if I'm having 3 or 4 kids? That doesn't mean that I'm not capable, and just not giving me or refusing me the opportunity from the beginning only because you think that I will think or I will
Mm.
be overloaded, that's not fair. And I was encouraging her to speak up, but she said, okay, I understand that maybe it's something that it's hard to demonstrate to the HR back, like, look how the others are giving me feedback and so on. And this was the point that I felt inside of me, that this should not happen. And of course, women can give birth to a child. That's it. That's nature. But on the other side, that's not fair in the company, in a big company, in a big corporation, in a I would like to say high educated people who should not leave their own personal beliefs and their own fears, maybe at some point, to speak out for other colleagues, for other people who just want an opportunity to develop. So that was, it was how, if I would that person, I would just say, you know what, let's go to HR right now. And this is what you said to me, this is not acceptable. That's not, you cannot pretend or think that I will be less a professional only because I'm planning to have kids, or I have a family and so on. That's, that should not happen.
Yeah. And I think it's very, very frequent that things like this will happen. I've also had other colleagues share with me saying something very similar happened in an internal transfer, and I was like, you can as well talk to the HR, and to like, I don't want to, because I don't want to be targeted later.
Yes, yes, and actually building that trust, because HR, it's in between management or top management and people, and we are calling them human resources, but actually they are really human beings. And they have their own life, they have their own fears, they have their own struggles. And a company or HR department, even HRBPs, they cannot cover all the topics. And at some point they have some reports to say, okay, how many people are in leadership position, how many people are moving, why, what is the attrition. So when you have these two components in the same department, of course the people are not trusting, and they say, if I'm going to say that, what is going to happen to me? I'm going to lose my job. It's the other person going to have some effects, or they are going to be punished in some way. So everything is just pushed back, and it remains a discussion over a canteen lunch, and that's it.
Mm.
And that's sad, because some of the people are not leaving that kind of toxic environment. I'm not talking only about corporations, it's in small companies as well. And it's about, you asked me about biases, it's about ages as well. My father is having 50 and something, 53, I think. And I just talked with him. I said, hey, after 30 years working in the same company, you can just switch. You can be a driver. You can just be a truck driver. He's
Mhm.
having all the licenses and so on. And he said, no, at my age, nobody will just hire me.
Yeah.
And actually, this is not, it's become his own thought, his own mindset, but it was coming from the society. At your age, you cannot just apply and have a new job anymore. Or when you have interviews in general, interviews, like when you see a person is like overweighting, you say, maybe that person cannot really run to meetings. And it deep inside, it's like inside, because you heard it from the society, because other people were saying that, and you think that is normal, or because you're just judging the person based on the appearance.
Yeah.
And you cannot leave this out in a company. It's not like you are
Yeah.
just undress yourself with your biases at the when you are having your badge and just making the
Yeah.
punch in.
That is true. So age is a strong factor, and then I think for that there are many other factors that come into play in terms of the employability and the younger generations pushing for the same jobs. The younger generations with lesser pay can do more work. There are many aspects, again cultural aspects, but I completely understand the background. I had a recent conversation with somebody and said, I've not been in the office for the last 4 years. I've taken a maternity break, and I'm completely unsure if I really deserve to get there. Will I work like the same way I worked before? How is it going to be working with the new team? There are like thousands of questions bubbling at the same point. So at times we also have our own insecurities. That again has come through society's conditioning, our own conditioning. There are many aspects. Uh, so especially for somebody who's interested and passionate about getting people on the equity bandwagon, we have a lot of things to work with, a lot of challenges to work with.
For me, was really surprising with at the table of management board of women at Bosch, we talk about having KPIs of women in leadership. Like like I remember how was it in a university, we had some special seats, let's say, for disables, like Roma people, so gypsies, and disables. And this was like nobody was applying to that because they didn't have the money to sustain themselves in the university and so on. So it was always empty. At every year when I was looking on the table, like who graduated, the passed the exams and so, when I saw there like empty spaces, because it was only a line over there, disabled, empty people, empty spaces that they should go there. And it, after many years being on that discussion, to say that we need to have quota, we need to have the woman in leadership. And I was saying, yes, that's one way of pushing the topic in front of the management and top management, that hey, we need to have diversity because we have different kind of skills, because we have different kind of backgrounds, not because it's a woman. And it was the same when Felice was coming, like the first woman in management board, yes, but she was not there only because she was a woman, a female,
Yeah.
and that's it. And I was upset somehow that we need to put quotas, we need to put KPIs.
And you were sharing something on the KPIs, the quotas quite passionately, and the 40-minute Zoom kata conversation.
Yeah. So yes, going back to the promoting women only because they are women or female, I think that's quite sad thing that is happening. But at European Union, this is happening quite as a push, because we didn't reach the, let's say, the target that it was already set. And I think the target was quite like having 20% women in leadership, so not even half, or not even like to have some women in the position. And the recruiting process is the same. We need to think about abilities, the skills. And I had also the feeling at some point that I will not be recruited only because I have the chance at some point to go to maternity leave. And that's something that, it's quite sad it's still happening. it is an option, as I said. It is an option to really put focus, so really to count how many women we have, how many women applied, and what kind of development steps they need to go to that. But as you also seen now, what is happening, a lot of women in top management board, they resign. They don't want to continue their contracts, and I think this is raising a quite question mark, like why it's happening like this. Could be like personal reasons, could be like moving in other company, could be like sabbatical years and whatever. But it's still, I think it's the environment, and it's not men versus women. It's about the stressful environment that at some point women, they needed to wear pants, not dresses anymore. And they said, I want to gain more money to be able to sustain my family because I'm a single mom, for example. Or I want to be in that position because then I will have the authority and my voice is going to count. And it's coming all on the history that women in general had in different cultures and different, and still have actually in what is happening right now in the Muslim world, yeah, with the women.
Mm. I think like it's a very strongly nuanced subject. There are certain things that come to us as a very obvious place, saying, "Hey, this is in this particular space. It's happening. It's evident in certain areas." But then I think in my experience, there's a subtler undercurrent. Uh, and when you said, you quotas and other things, so that question saying, "Hey, this person is a diversity candidate," becomes a thing, and that's another bias. So you got in because you're a diversity candidate, and then you are not looked for your capacity, your capacity, your talents, not really given that fair share of thing when you're coming into a new team, and then you've advertised in the job description that you're looking for a diversity candidate, uh, or you're looking at fulfilling certain quotas in the organization, saying, "Hey, we need 30% men or 20% men in this organization, or 50% women in the organization." So what you're telling the others is the other person, you got in, you're telling yourself that you got in because not because of your capacity, but hey, because I am fitting a certain diversity equation. So it doesn't either help you as an individual, nor does it help the team as a cohesive unit. I think language plays a very strong role in the way we look at diversity in terms of how we handle it, and definitely the bells are ringing in terms of saying, "Hey, why are women not really preferring to stay on the contracts and look at leadership positions?" Uh, I personally have an opinion that grassroots need to be strengthened, and that's when uh, the next movement upwards can actually help. There's definitely people that are strong leaders that will come on board if a grassroots are strengthened.
Yeah, I saw men leaders who are really supporting much more than female leaders. And then it was the bell that you said that was ringing for me, like we need to talk much more about that. And one of the good example was the one of the top management in Bosch. When we presented to him, he was like, "Oh, I understand now why mentoring is important, because I also have two daughters, and I would like to have this kind of programs for them to get in touch with other managers and to help them develop." So all men, they have one woman, at least their mom, that they have in their life. And I think from this perspective, or like empathy perspective, I think it's about respect and chances and opportunities. And on the other side, we need the intuition from the female side. We need the kindness, we need the sensibility, that more and more in leaders, people are appreciating that. They are staying because they meet kind people and they meet empathetic people. And this is a feminine, let's say, part that also the men, they need to allow it to happen. If you are very strong, you can also cry, but you know who in this world it's crying in meetings or in the offices? Nobody. Like, we are not allowed to be humans anymore.
I have to just share this. I am very famous for being somebody who's teary-eyed in all of the farewells that happen in the organization. So whoever leaves the team, I think for sure I am the one who has now very emotional response to someone leaving, and I get like made fun of. I get different comments from all sorts of society. So like, oh, how come you're crying? It's okay. Don't like be a man. You're not
Yeah.
a child anymore. I've seen all of that. When you said this in terms of strength and crying, my hand automatically went up and say, "Hey, you're talking about one exception here. I'm an exception," and that's not also landed me any good. But some places, I think authenticity and vulnerability is a trait that's irrespective of whether you're a male, a female, uh, or generally any gender fluid aspects. It's about the overall natural phenomena that happen, and it's just that there is no association of strength, weakness, gender to it. And whenever somebody is authentic, I think they all, they're automatically leaders in many aspects.
Yeah, and as you said, being caring or sensible or empathetic, these are great qualities. If you're working as a coach, for example, nobody wants a coach who is like very authoritarian and like a boss. Like, I'm telling you what to do, and it's like, okay, you know what? I don't want to work with you. But when it's coming with different kind of different kind of roles, for example, as you said, engineering, you are automatically associate engineer, a male engineer at, I don't know, 35 year, to be like a very impunitive, like yeah straight and just sitting over there, like impugning some authority. But if you are thinking, hey, maybe a coach, a male coach at 35 years, is like, oh, he needs to be kind, he needs to be more like empathetic, more listening and not talking. And you see, it's on the roles, I would say, because
Mm.
men at so many years, they needed to fight, they needed to go out and fight and hunt the meal and so on. So this is embedded in the genetics. But actually, the real world right now, you don't need to, I mean, except Ukraine, sadly, where some of the things are still happening in this aggression part. But we don't need to fight anymore. We have the communication, we have the word that can heal actually souls. And I think we need more roles that are healing,
Mm.
actually,
Yeah.
healing spirits and healing people. And doesn't, as you said, doesn't matter if they are female or male or whatever. And I think these kind of roles are not going to be surpassed by the AI. So
Yeah. And AI is a very interesting topic that you brought this. Yeah, I think empathy, the what we call softer emotions. I don't really like the way we call it soft, because it's then saying something is hard or something
yeah,
is
hard.
softer. So it's just emotions. And I think at a workplace, it's completely fine to have that. And AI coming into the aspect. So AI can replace coaches, AI can replace HR, AI can replace that. This we keep hearing this. So I have another rebellious dialogue. AI can never replace natural stupidity.
Yeah, that's true. These are like a lot of bugs in the script that it's happening
Yes, yes,
for
yes.
the yeah.
Yeah, but it is definitely interesting to have technology in a particular space. So when you're sharing, in terms of saying, hey, an engineer is somebody you look at, saying a 35-year-old male sitting in front of a laptop, completely authoritarian. I was just telling myself, sometimes we're stories that we tell each other. And if you really look at empowerment, equity, equality, all of these depend very heavily on some of the stories we tell. And the stories we tell our kids, we tell ourselves, and we tell the world. So that really can change the perspective of, the entire world story. So we usually have a single narrative. So there's an underdog, there's somebody who's oppressing, suppressing. We always have a black and white picture, but then there are many grades and shades of different colors that exist, that completely gets forgotten in certain storytelling. And our storytelling can actually change the way we look at world. So we will look at an individual has made a contribution, and not saying, hey, a woman from India has made a contribution. So we don't really zero in, give tags to that, such that it sells in the media, but you do it through that in which you say an individual has made a contribution, has changed the way we look at things. So our storytelling can actually do a lot.
Now I'm coming back to the kids with the storytelling because we are all also having some kids inside of ourselves,
Yes.
like the healing inner child. And it was the first time when I heard from one friend of mine. She called her boy Sasha, and I was like, "What interesting name." I was thinking that it's coming from Serbian. It's like sounds like this, and she said, "No, this is the name that actually could be if he at some point will decide that it's going to be, as you said, gender fluid or any kind of from the range." Sasha, it could be like a universal name. And I was surprised. Like, I was thinking of myself that I'm very open-minded and I understand a lot of things. But at some point, I was putting the question, okay, so who? That's the next step of thinking what
Yeah.
is my legacy, how I'm going to raise my kids, and actually all of us, how we are going to pass forward the voices, as you said, the stories that we have inside of us to the kids, because the new generation, they need to face other kind of challenges. And as you said, in school, what is happening, and at job as well. So to raise an authentic kid, you need a lot of patience and strength and self-awareness to understand how that kid is going to be perceived in the world, and if you are raising that kid for fail or for success, and what kind of communities he or she needs in this direction, and how can you, yeah, put that seed that we are all different and that's okay. Diversity is actually a strength, because we can learn from each other, we can just, yeah, see different things.
And when you went back to the kindergarten, the kids and all of that, so I kept telling this thing in terms of our curiosity. So when we're kids, we're naturally curious. So this your own experience, talking to these American tourists. So we don't really give any indication. We don't give any tag saying you're different, so I should stay away from you. The more different we are from each other, the more curious we get, saying, hey, this looks something different. He looks different. She looks different. They look different. So you're naturally curious. So you don't have any bifurcation, any segmentation, any compartmentalization, and that changes very rapidly as we grow up. So none of our we don't really bother about the stories that we're listening to when we're young. We don't really get into the nitty gritties. Then after some time, it slowly dawns upon us saying, hey, you need to follow our culture. Our culture is like this. And then a lot of things come into the equation, and sort of takes out the curiosity of it. It becomes more like, you follow the rules. And when you follow the rules, it's fine. When you don't follow it, it's not. And that changes a lot in terms of kids. It stays through the rest of our years, and effectively breeds us in the same image as our older generation with maybe a small delta. So it is quite interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's remaining with us at jobs as well. Some of the employees are not behaving like adults, like they are waiting for the manager to tell them what to do. And then if they are not doing it in the right PowerPoint, it's delivered, it's going to be punished. Like, okay, you mistaked here, and when you talk about goals, performance, or evaluation, it's like you did bad here, and that's it. You will not get your bonus. And it's the same shitty system, I would say, as in school, where everything that you are doing good, it's going to be promoted, and you need to please someone, like the teacher, the parents, the boss, and so on. And so little it's talk about, yeah, pleasing your own wishes, your own following, your own curiosity, as you said, that playfulness, like discovering word in your particular way, your view of the word. And that's why I think, yeah, the more and more people are thinking, okay, to build a career or to build a profession which is with good vibe around, like it's like politicians, because everybody's like, oh, we want to have someone who is empowered and so on. But when we talk about the soft, as you said, the soft jobs, the soft skills focused jobs, nobody's saying like, okay, I want to be a painter. Oh, but you're not going to have enough money on that.
Yeah. So I've heard this many, many times. But poetry is not going to fill your stomach.
Yeah, yeah. And unfortunately, if someone was saying the same to the, yeah, very famous poets in the past, they were just quitting, and that's it. No more poetry, no more painting, no more arts. And actually, when you are enjoying life, it's about poetry and arts and colorful and nature. So we can just stay in front of the laptop no matter how many hours, but we are still enjoying sunsets and the
Absolutely.
smell of rain and so on. So this is going to unite us, let's say, the root and the nature, no matter what culture we have. If
Absolutely.
I'm asking people from any country if they really like rainbows, I think nobody will say, "Oh, I hate it. I don't like it. It's on the sky." Oh,
Mm.
so it's, yeah, it's going back to natural things that
Yeah.
and needs that we all have.
Absolutely. So when you said this, I was reminded of my experiences with another, like since you're old time bachelors, there was this beautiful concept of lunchule, wherein you were
Mm,
meeting different people from different parts of the world, or it initially started with meeting people in the same office whom you may not meet on a daily basis. One of my best experiences was to finally find out, hey, both of us like singing, both of us like arts, both of us are into, say, creating YouTube content. So that made us friends far more than, saying, oh, you're from Romania, I'm from Czech Republic,
mm,
somebody's from Saudi. Those segmentations that we have, saying, hey, I'm a Muslim, I'm a practicing Hindu, all that was, I think, went away. So we were chatting as kids or chatting in terms of that connection. Said, hey, now we have a, like, I also like this color, you also like that color. So the conversation was so, authentic, natural, and we were connected beyond the boundaries. And for me, that was something that is fantastic. You never get tired of such conversations.
but you need the right mindset for that. You need to be exposed. You need to have the openness or the flexibility to see beyond the color, as you said, beyond the culture, beyond the religion. And you also need some kind of approach that it's not pushing your own beliefs to others. And I think this comes with maturity, like emotional maturity. Because if I'm just trying to preach you, I don't know, my religion, there at some point you will feel attacked. Like you will not feel like, okay, that person is coming to my life to change me. And if you are having the right mindset, it's that person coming to my life to remind me to accept myself and accept others. And this is different kind of religion. This is different kind of like acceptance and thinking that we are unique and we can help each other. Yeah. This is going to go more and more, having the more impact and echo, regardless the how diverse we are.
Mm. I have just one thing to add. I think you get into a phase wherein you're not really saying somebody is coming into my life because of something. There's no attachment to any of those concepts. So it's the philosopher in me that's taking over. So it's that concept of nothingness. There is no reason why somebody has to come to your place. There's no reason that you want to attach. It just is. They're just there. There's no reason you have to go talk to them. There's no reason they're trying to now get to you. It's just beautiful natural curiosity. Like the river is flowing. It's going to flow whether you tell it to flow the other side. It will still continue to flow in the direction that it wants to. You may put a dam, but then it will still continue to flow. It may stay in there, but it's still true to what it is. Um, so we don't need to really put dams and say, okay, this is where you should be, this is where you should not go. It is just as it is. That whole concept of nothingness. There is no specific reason why someone's coming to your life. There's there could be, but there need not be a reason.
It
Just
was a nice metaphor on that, because like the life is going through a bus journey, and you will have some people who are coming into your bus and staying shorter, like I don't know,
mm.
ex-colleagues that I have 10 years ago, and I'm not keeping any contact with them. But there are like people who are staying longer and years, like family or friends and so on. But there are just people who are just waving from the bus, like you pass by on the street, you know that face, but never again seeing it again. So yeah, I think it's the you are the bus, you are the journey, and letting people in and out and so on. You are just trying to explore life. How is it? And as you said, that nothingness, not being attached on what is coming and what it's leaving from your life. It's knowing that you are the one who is driving your life. You can have the control on that. So it's, yeah, from
Mm.
philosopher to another philosopher.
Yes, it's been a fun conversation so far. It's been intense. It's been entertaining. Been a lot of conversation. So it's just social proof that two of us who only had say a handful of LinkedIn conversations, uh, having a conversation of close to an hour and 20 minutes
Yeah.
about different topics. So this is possible. This is definitely the case. Not talked about so many things, but we've talked about so many things as well. So definitely possible to hold conversations, to look at people with curiosity, to have conversations where we fundamentally agree on something, differ on something else as well. So it's somebody asked me what's the value of the podcast you get. It's all these subtle nuances that if you're ready to receive, you will get.
Yeah, and I just want to congratulate you to have this initiative, because nowadays a lot of information is on the internet, a lot of people, you can just watch hours and hours on podcast. But I think starting with your close network, let's say ex-colleagues, and trying to be so human in approach, and as you said, moderation, like it, yeah, here and there, only to try to bring the best from the conversation. I think this is your natural quality, and I'm so happy that you are not working in other field anymore. Because it's you
Yes.
can bring so much
Mm.
value add from that. And I think it's great to, as you said, to have this kind of conversations, and for the people who are listening to us, um, to understand that it's we are all the same at some point, and
Absolutely.
that's important.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So completely agree on that. We're all the same. We're connected. Connected, I think, far more fundamentally than we see. And then when you find that connection, it's a beautiful feeling. And things can move from that. And when you were sharing, also, I think one of the things that also came to me is the similarity between us is uh, also maybe using our power of the voice that we have, the experiences that we've come across, sharing that with people and seeing where it lands, and then inviting more conversation around it. One of the ways in which I got to meet a lot of people was because I shared my experiences, and sharing those experiences gave me a lot of people who connected, even in terms of the controversial ones. So I don't know if you know of it. Then I wrote a blog, Quit Like Bosch, and then there was one more saying why employees leave and initiatives die, and a lot of them came on that particular episode. And then a lot of them privately message saying, "Hey, Sunil, I think it's very brave of you to write this, share this, or whatever." So my only aspect is that I think we should be open to rebels in the organization and let them stay in those organizations, and also be not afraid to use our voice and be authentic in our voices. So I just also wanted to share that and then catch your reaction and you know pull this podcast to a close.
Yeah, yeah. For me, yeah, I think you said about rebels, and I, for me, what is in my mindset, what is in my mind is that I have nothing to lose. I
Hmm.
mean, I can lose anything, but on the other side, I know how to build everything from scratch. So for me, any organizations who is really limiting me or like not giving me the chance to develop, or not giving me what is let's say not giving me the chance or the opportunity, or open the door for what I have to give, then for me it's a waste time. And after 6 years on something, I was more like thinking, okay, how long should I wait for what I deserve and what I was working for? And that was the end. And I would say, okay, this is enough. And it's like in relationships, when it's not working, and it's like love forced, you feel like it's not working, and it's happening like 1 month, 2 months, and so on. And the other saying, oh, I'm changing, oh, you just wait when I'm going to be beautiful, behaving, and so on. And I said, that's enough. And actually, I encourage other people to really put their limits, like healthy limits, to learn how to say no. And I think the sooner the better. Even if it's 1 year or 3 months or 4 months, if you don't feel in that company, in that team, if you don't feel that it's not working, you just need to stay straight and say no. For me, it's not working. I know that for other people can work, and that's very good. They will still have their lessons to learn over there. But if you feel like it's not working for you, just stop and say, for me, no, until here. And you will find new people, you will find new jobs, new opportunities, and you will feel so much, let's say, alive in that, because it's the same person who was giving you the opportunity to really, yeah, develop and really give something else. And for me, it was the case that I said, okay, I don't want to be catch in something. I have so much potential, I have so much to give, and I deserve much more. And I just switched the table and I said, that's it.
Yes, so a lot of similarities in some of our stories. But then last question in terms of the curiosity for today's call. So you call yourself
Yes.
Chief Empathy Officer. So you're a CEO, but then a different kind of a CEO. So what enabled you? What put you to that Chief Empathy Officer?
It was interesting. Everybody was like, okay, who is that CEO? CEO on what? But when I was going to the meeting in Germany for Women at Bosch, I first met my colleagues. Actually, we interacted a lot online, but we never met each other. And then Tony, she was from US, and she saw me moderating the meeting with the Phillies, with the, yeah, top management. And I try to be so calm and like empathy towards her. Like I invited her to say, hey, would you like to have like a coffee? Would like to sit here? And it was not that professional PowerPoint approach as a moderator or as a trainer anymore. It was like me as a human interacted with another colleague of mine who was happening to be top management of Bosch, and in front of all my colleagues. And Tony was recognizing that okay, but you did it in such a kind way and such a with full of empathy. After one full of day of workshops and conferences and so on, I treated her and also us in that group as human beings with needs and passions and value. And she told us that you are our CEO right now from the group. And I said, okay, but what is coming CEO? Like, and she said, you are the chief empathy officer. And I really like that name. And I said I will transform it in a brand in LinkedIn awareness, because I really think that empathy should get leaders close to the team. And now, yeah, I said that this year, at least this year, I will still have this nickname on the LinkedIn, because it's me raising awareness on that. And it's a nice nickname. Maybe one day I will be a CEO as well.
Yes, so we're all CEOs in our own life, CEOs at times in many others' lives as well. But a very interesting name. So yeah, sometime if I need it, so I will also borrow it.
Yes, please just think about that empathy in the word, because in general, yeah, we need people to lead us through their heart and not only minds.
So Lara, what has been the last 1 hour 20 minutes? Any closing thoughts from your end?
It was inspiring. It was a very good vibe for me. I also had some ideas that I get to share, but also I borrowed from you some ideas and some thoughts. So thank you for that. And I encourage you to keep doing that. So
Oh,
please
thank you
do
so
it.
much.
Make time. Find people that you think that are inspiring, or you liked them because of their values, because of their activity, and keep doing that, because you're doing a great job.
Thank you so much. And thank you for agreeing to come on board short notice on a holiday and celebrating Easter, and after that coming on board here. Thank you so much. And I think, yeah, it's always a joy to meet people from different backgrounds. Joy amplifies when you have similar values, similar activities that you've been a part of. It's been a complete joy to have you share all the authenticity, with all the honesty, your own experiences. And yeah, rain, go away is what I also take away from this.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much. And then, yeah, so until next time, until the next conversation, to the rest of the listeners and the viewers, stay tuned. There are a few more interesting personalities on board this March. So March is going to be like a flood of podcasts. And thank you, Laura, for coming on board. Been a pleasure.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye. Take care.